So welcome to Small Farm Living. Today we are going to do a couple of crafts that you can use for your office, maybe your craft room, or just around your home. The first one, this decor piece I got at the Dollar Tree. It's meant to hang kind of long and skinny, but I'd like to make it more landscape. So first thing we're going to do is take all these staples out, and you can see as I pull this out that they really put them in there very haphazardly, and it kind of chipped up the backing a little bit, but we will make it so you can't see those later. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and I am just going to paint, which is the back side of this picture decor piece. And while that's drying, I found this book at the thrift store. It's an old book. It's actually a Reader's Digest complete book of the garden. And what I like about some of these old books is they have the coolest pictures, and some of the old illustrations are more of a drawing, and I really love the way those look and the colors that they used and everything. So I'm just going to kind of flip through this book. I wasn't really sure at this point which design I wanted to go for. I thought when I got to the bulb section, those were really pretty, but that's more spring. So maybe we'll save that for a spring project. But I did end up finding gardens in the shade, and I loved the ferns and the other like coral bells and other types of flowers that they had in the pictures here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out, and I'm just going to take my little X-Acto knife and I'm going to run it down the center crease on one side of the page. And then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the page. And that just gives me a very clean cut and allows me to just pop it right out of the book without any ripping or tearing. So I'm going to do that with the other ones, and be careful because that one's close to the spine area. And now that I have them all cut out, I was thinking about cutting them out with these decorative little scissors. And by the time I got one of them cut out, I thought it looked really dorky. So I just grabbed some water and did the tracing kind of around the design in a wiggly pattern and let that sit for a little while. And once it was soaked, I was able to rip and tear them out, which kind of gives it a little bit more of an organic feel to me. So now that the paint is dry on the backing, I'm just framing it up. And at first, I'm just going to lay my pieces in here to figure out where I want them to be before I get them put down with some Mod Podge. Now, this one, I kind of was thinking of putting the gardens in the shade at the top, and then I thought with the four pieces it might look better in the middle. So I'm just going to grab some Mod Podge, and I am going to slather the back of these cute little prints. And you really could do this with a glue stick. At hindsight, I probably would have used a glue stick for the backing of this and maybe just done the Mod Podge over the front side. But you can see I'm putting it down there at the bottom, and I'm covering up a few of those little staple tears, so those won't show down there. And then I am just rubbing it all down with that paintbrush that has some Mod Podge on it, making sure all the edges are secure. And I am going to go over the whole thing with Mod Podge just to give it a nice coat. And I'm going to do that with each one of the pieces. And then the top, I decided I would just put Mod Podge down, and then I would let it dry and come back in with my iron, which if you've not done it before, it just reactivates the Mod Podge and gets it to stick really nicely. And I always use a piece of parchment paper over the top. And when I was done, it was nice and pretty. And the way I like that method better simply because you have less wrinkles in your product. And so I just went over the bottom two pieces with the iron to smooth out any wrinkles on that as well. I did notice that my gardens in the shade was a little bit crooked looking, and I couldn't tell if it was actually the writing or not, but I'm going to take my micro sander kit. This is not real wood. It's like, I don't even know, like the press board. I don't even know. I don't even think there's any wood in it, to be honest. I think it's more of a cardboard like product, but it had a shiny finish to it. So I wanted to sand that down just so that it would adhere with paint better. And then I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color moss. I absolutely love this color. I think this has been one of my favorite paint colors for years. I have it on my bedroom wall, as a matter of fact. But I'm just going to paint all sides of this. I'm going to go across the top and the sides and the bottom, and then the little pieces on the inner portion of the frame as well as the outer edges. And this dries so quickly and it soaks in really nicely to the product. Now I did go around and touch up a few places that needed a little bit more paint on them. Some were thick enough, and others, when my paint was running a little low on the brush, I just touched those up so it had a nice even coat all the way around. Now while that's drying, I took out one of my silicone molds, and I just want to use the little flower decal in this little piece. I'm not going to do the whole thing, and I'm just going to do hot glue because I don't want to wait for the air dry clay to dry. So I'm going to make 4 of these, I believe, and get those put onto my picture frame. Now, when it comes out, I was a little impatient. This one was a little soft, but it held its shape, and it's kind of hard to see with it just being done. But yep, I'm going to do four, one for each corner. Once they were done, I took some antique rub and buff, and I just wanted to, it's the gold, and I just wanted to get the little details of the flower to stand out. I didn't want the whole thing gold. I wanted them to still be mostly kind of that plaster color to match the backing of my picture. So I'm just going to stick some hot glue on those and get those stuck on. And you do have to be very careful when you are hot gluing a hot glue decal onto a frame because the glue of the actual flower wanted to melt. So for putting this on, I couldn't find my tacky glue, so I'm going to use some of my super Fabri-Tac, and this stuff comes out pretty quickly and it's really gooey, but it most anything I use this on, it sticks really great. So I did that, and then I went back with some hot glue and very quickly put it in between where I put the super Fabri-Tac, just so I could have some quick permanent or some quick temporary hold while the Fabri-Tac sets up. I pressed it down in there real good just to make sure it was adhered. And here is what it's looking like. So let's get this hung up. And I just think this is so sweet. It reminds me of those old botanical prints that you can find sometimes at the antique stores, but this one is on a budget. And just putting a few of those cute little rosettes on the corners just made the frame look a little less plain. I could have done it with or without. But now on to project number 2. I'm just taking this tin can and I'm going to add some more of my Waverly chalk paint in the color moss on this. And I'm not really going for complete coverage on this. I just really want to make sure that you can't see any of the shiny metal once I'm done. So I did the top portion and then I was able to stick my fingers down inside the can and hold it while I did the bottom half of the can. So while that is drying, I'm going to take my popsicle sticks because these are going to stick up about that far above the top of the can. And on the inside of the can, I want to just paint that portion that's going to stick up so I don't have to worry about trying to do that once I get these all glued on. So I'm just going to paint that little top portion there and then set them down to dry. And again, because these are wood popsicle sticks and this is chalk paint, it really dries very quickly. So I'm going to get the rest of those done. And now you can see how the paint didn't dry like super thick coverage on there. And like I say, that's fine. I just didn't want any shiny tin can to show through. So what I'm going to do is set these on my tin can just like this. And again, that inner part that we painted, you can see that it's enough coverage for what sticks up over the lip of the can. And I will put something inside the lip of the can here in a little bit. But first we are going to glue these on. I just put a little bit up on the top rim straight down and then a little bit on the bottom rim. And thankfully we have air conditioning in my house, but because we do, it makes the can a little cooler and you have to move a little faster than you normally would have to because the glue wants to dry a lot quicker when the can is a little cool. So if you do this, just make sure that your can, if it's super cold, you can get the sticks on there before the glue dries. Now you can see my very last piece, it didn't fit perfectly down inside there. There's a tiny bit of overlap, but that's okay. That'll just be the back of my display piece. I'm going to paint this all on the outside now in my moss chalk paint and get that all looking nice. Now this one I did want to have good coverage on, so I put a nice thick coat all around it, and then I took my paintbrush and I got in between all those cute little wiggly top pieces of the popsicle sticks so that you couldn't see any of the natural wood color. You could just see the pretty green. So here we are, it is all dried. And now just to dress it up a little bit, again, that slightly overlapping piece is going to be in the back. I'm going to take this really skinny jute twine that I have. I think I just got it at Walmart. I'm going to wrap it around twice and then cut it off. And then I am going to tie this into a knot with a little bow at the top. Now, I don't know why, but I think it's because of all the gardening I've been doing. My fingers, they did not want to work today. It took me forever just to get a darn little bow tied on the top of this. Do you ever feel like that sometimes, like your fingers just don't want to work? That's been me lately. But anyway, I did the top one, and then I thought I would do the exact same thing down on the bottom just to kind of give it a little symmetry. And then I didn't glue the pieces that I wrapped around on. I just took my little fingers and tightened them up together so there wasn't a gap in between. And then now we're going to put some ribbon around the inside rim. Now I got this at the Dollar Tree and it's a beautiful moss green, but you can see that it's a different tone. But when I put it on the inside of this can, it really I don't know, for some reason you just couldn't see that much of a difference. And I think it's maybe just because of the shadowing. So I wrapped it all around in there, cut it off, put a little piece of hot glue on there. And then as I worked my way around the can, I think I just did four basically opposite sides of each other on the can just to get it stuck on there. And now you can see how it's made that look pretty. And then I'm just going to take some more of this little jute twine and I'm going to put a little rim around the top. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. This is actually going to be in my craft room holding my paintbrushes like you see them here. But you can see back there, with us painting the backside of the popsicle sticks, you don't see any bright wood color. And I took those out so you could get a better look at the inside of the can. And I thought it turned out really sweet. This will be really helpful when I get my crafting organization video done, which should be coming up pretty soon because the weather is starting to get super hot here and I will be inside most of the time. But here is a wrap up. It was just a real quick video today of the two projects we did. Again, I wish I had gotten that Gardens in the Shade a little more straight, but you know what? It's just coincides with me and who I am. And I just love, love, love. I'm a flower girl. If you're new to my channel, I have a flower and vegetable farm, and that's what I do most of the time. So if you see videos like that, that is why. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you next time.